Hey everybody, welcome back to the LuckyDog podcast. This is your host, Elias. This podcast is sponsored by EliasRoushMedia.com, photo, video, digital media production. Today we are discussing Avatar: The Last Airbender, Season 2, the finale. So let's do a quick roundup before we go through on this very last episode. I just want to talk about some of the pros, some of the cons, the things I liked and didn't like about Avatar Season 2. Now, you're like, what I didn't like? What Avatar Season 2? How could you didn't like something? Well, basically you're right. I absolutely loved Season 2 of Avatar The Last Airbender. I think Avatar The Last Airbender Season 2 is more superior in many ways that make the world just more enjoyable to be in. The thing about Avatar The Last Airbender is that they have a stellar cast. They're fun to be around. The story is interesting as hell. It's beautiful world building. I love seeing the bending of the elements. It's unpredictable in a way that makes it exciting to watch. It's a world unlike any other. So, with saying all that, I will say basically the only things I had complaints about were at the very end of the season, and it was next to none. I think this second season is superior in just about every way they could have made it better. I remember all the complaints that I had in the first season saying that, some of the towns looked too similar, some of the rendering wasn't as smooth. They fixed that. They fixed the other. I think some of the slapstick humor was kind of toned down a little bit throughout most of season 2. Like, season 2 was very thought provoking. It was very much Aang trying to harness who he is and understand the type of powers that are within him. And with saying that, we acquire really interesting characters such as Toph. We expand upon the worlds of Sokka and Katara and Zuko and Uncle Iroh. I mean, there really is no way that I could have possibly predicted how good season 2 was going to be. I thought that season 2 was just kind of, expand upon the world, give us some more lottie-dotties, we'll go visit a few worlds and a few towns. We'll visit a few towns, and then once we're done with the towns, we'll go on to the main mission, and eventually we'll end up season 2. No, this was a very deep inter monologue thinking, psychological kind of type of season 2. I really enjoyed season 2 because it explored our favorite characters in even more depth. Even as to the second episode, one of the things I've always said about going from season 1 to season 2, season 3 when you're watching animation, regardless of where it comes from, generally the characters kind of stay stagnant. And that's one thing I thought that is really progressive about this show, is that these characters grow. I feel like I'm growing alongside these characters. I'm learning, words of wisdom from Uncle Iroh through Zuko, and patience, and just worldly, psychological, mindful pieces of information. And I wouldn't say culture. I don't feel like I learned too much about culture, but learning more about the human psyche and who they are. And it's not like this is an entirely deep ass show. It's not like they're going talk about the neutrons and the psychological spectrum of this, that, and the other. But they are giving like an overarching look at some of these emotions that are very real to people, regardless if you have the ability to bend water, to fly on in the air, or blow fire from your hands. It doesn't matter about these the elements and the powers are second to what is actually going on in the show. It's so much of learning about the world and the family dynamics. I find it so fascinating. In the second season, Aang and his friends Katara, Sokka are on a quest to find an earthbending teacher, which finishes when they recruit Toph Beifong. After finding important information concerning the war with the Fire Nation, Appa ends up kidnapped. Holy sack! That was really, really stressful for those episodes. And then when we finally get Appa back, we learn about what's Appa's been going on. I mean, Appa, Momo, the side characters, some of our favorites, they have journeys as well, more or less Appa. Their journey leads to Ba Sing Se, the capital of the Earth Kingdom, where they uncover a great internal government conspiracy. Like, there is this, like, massive conspiracy throughout Season 2 of, like, trying to overthrow Ba Sing Se's Earth Kingdom's ruler. Like, there is some serious, like, is it called a coup d'etat? Like, they have some really interesting storylines going on in Season 2 when it comes to with regards of leading a country. And they talk about, just kind of having bumbling idiots are the ones leading the country. And they have a way of visually expressing, that these people are incompetent and are uninterested in ruling their kingdom. I mean, I remember just small comments like the Earth Kingdom guys, like, oh, this is what public transportation's like. And it's like, yeah, because they've never left the castle. They've never left the castle that they have been, put upon, and they have to rule over, and they have no idea what the world is like out there. Kind of a lot like what's going on in the real world now. You don't have to be 3,000 years in the past or 4,000, 5,000 years in the future for it to really make a difference to understand the visualizations of, an incompetent leader. And so anyways, their journey leads to Ba Sing Se, the capital of the Earth Kingdom, where they uncover a great internal government conspiracy. Meanwhile, due to their actions at the North Pole in Book 1, Zuko and Iroh are declared traitors of the Fire Nation and desert their country, becoming fugitives in the Earth Kingdom. Pursuing both Zuko and Aang is Princess Azula, Zuko's younger prodigy sister. And so there is probably the biggest dynamic when it comes to having an antagonist within this show is absolutely the Fire Nation, and specifically Azula. She is definitely one of the biggest foes, and she's almost to the point where she feels like a foe against Zuko and Uncle Iroh for the majority of this season. R.O.P. I can't talk today. R.I.P. Uncle Iroh. The voice actor of Uncle Iroh is Mako, I believe. He's also the voice actor of Aku on Samurai Jack. And so I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of praise to this character. I'm curious, from what I hear is the voice actor Mako, I really enjoyed his line delivery and the way that he kind of, soaked up being kind of an elderly character enjoying his prime. He's trying to tell Zuko and explain to him, to, not hold on to your anger. And, hunting down the Avatar is not exactly what you want to do. It's not going to bring you the satisfactory that you want. And so, yeah, I absolutely love the character of Uncle Iroh. I always just got to give a little bit of, credit to him from that. I don't think I mentioned the producers and creators Michael Dante DiMartino, and Brian Conzico. I'm sorry if I kind of messed those up a little bit, but these are the creators of the Avatar: The Last Airbender, and they also created The Legend of Korra. I believe The Legend of Korra was used as a spin-off from Avatar: The Last Airbender because of the movie being such a notorious flop. They didn't want to have anything to do with the name. So that is insane that you fucked up a movie so bad that they couldn't continue on the show with a different name. It's kind of crazy to think about and a little bit concerning when I'm thinking about season 3. I'm like, did they complete season 3 or were they expecting season 4, season 5? Because at the scope of this of what's going on, I'm kind of feeling like I'm scared about how season 3 is going to end. I hope it ends in a way that we don't need anything else from that. But I don't know, maybe the Legend of Korra might explain some things that we didn't get explained in Avatar. To my knowledge, it's the same world. Not sure if it's the same characters at all. I'll kind of do a little bit more research into that. Let's talk a little bit about the notes that I wrote down for for a couple episodes that we were discussing. I'll try not to be here too long. I know that y'all have got other things to do than listen to me mumble on about Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 2. But we will talk about episodes. Let me just hack into the system real quick. Beep boop bop. Avatar. Did y'all see the new Batman? Oh my gosh, dude! I tried to like peek through. My eye was like peeking at a stream that was watching the leaked footage, and oh my goodness, I was like, what is going on? And I was very impressed with what's going on with that. So episode 2, The Cave of Two Lovers. Basically the only thing I saw about that was I enjoy how this is exploring more of the relationship between Aang and Katara. The two characters absolutely have grown immensely. This is the synopsis. On their way to Omashu, Team Avatar is forced to travel underground to avoid Fire Nation attacks. Iroh and Zuko adjust to life as fugitives. So episode 2, really cool water bending at the beginning of this, and I noticed that they were also showing a lot more skin as well. I was like, they're trying to, I don't know if it was just like a season 1 thing where they just kind of kept them in the same outfits, didn't want to, I don't want to say sexualize is the wrong word, but to show that they are maturing in a way. That's probably the better way to say it, because they're still very young. But they are showing a little bit more skin in this. I noticed that. And they meet some weird traveling guys in this that wear these nice underwear hats or something like that. I don't remember exactly what was going on. Let me see. Uncle Iroh and Zuko are on the run as fugitives, and I think this is the montage of Uncle Iroh getting sick from all of the different types of tea, and he thinks it's either really delicious tea or some sort of terrible poison. One or the other, can't be just one. I love his little antics. And at the beginning of this, I was like, okay, so they're going to develop more of the relationship between Aang and Katara. I really enjoyed that. And then we get episode 3, The Return to Omashu, finding the city of Aang's old friend, King Bumi, captured by the Fire Nation. The heroes hatch a plan to rescue Aang's earthbending teacher. Azula gathers 2 old friends to help her hunt the Avatar. Yeah, I enjoyed Azula's 2 additional friends. My biggest thing about it is, I keep seeing The Rock as Adam Black or Black Adam or whatever it's called, and the ad is throwing me off. It's like, dude, can you get off my screen? Sorry. So I love Azula's 2 additional friends that come to help. They both have different personalities that bring kind of a lightheartedness to what's going on. Again, all of the earthbending stuff, I thought I was crazy in the first season saying that the earthbending stuff was dope, but this shit is dope. Like, I was really impressed by all the type of earthbending. I felt like I never got bored by any of this happening, and I was just so surprised by the choreography and what's going on. It's not real people like I said in the first season, but my lord, it is just beautiful to watch. Among other things, this season 2 really explores the city as well. The cities and landscapes. I think the landscapes are what they really focused on. So yeah, let me see. Oh yeah, in episode 3, he also learns about Jin, which is neutrality. Episode 4, Aang hears a swamp calling to him. In the swamp, Aang and the gang find out that this is not any natural swamp. I think this is when they find like the swamp people, and there's this one dude kind of like making like this hurricane kind of thing. I always get stressed out when they get Appa down. I hate when they're always trying to attack Appa. I think Appa and Momo are almost attacked by the swamp people during this thing. And if I remember correctly, I'm like, why does everybody have to do? Why does one thing I notice about some cartoons is they'll attack the protagonist and they'll be like, "Oh, I was just kidding," or "Oh, I didn't know you were there." It's like, you almost killed us. You almost killed Appa. You almost killed Momo. You need to cut your shit as a swamp man. Get your shit. Like, I will aerate your ass. Like, get out of here. I don't. That sounded weird. I shouldn't have said that. But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Get your ass. Get your swamp ass out of here. But yeah. So episode 4, Uncle has to dance for some sort of asshole that is like, I think, throwing like swords at him because they're like trying to. They're asking for money. They're asking for food. They're on the run. That's where. You can see Zuko is just like, that is it. I need to get out of here. I need to put the blue mask on. I need to whoop some ass. This bird screech during this episode was hilarious. I'm trying to remember exactly what it sounded like. I'm not going to reperform it. So there are swamp waterbenders. The thing about the season 2, what they also explored is that the different elements have different things, like subsections about them. So like, Earth, if you can bend Earth, you can possibly bend metal as well, which is kind of cool. But again, that's kind of like just making it up as you go, a little bit. Episode 5, Sokka and Katara have to solve a centuries-old crime when Aang is in prison for a murder allegedly committed by one of his past incarnations. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one as well. I didn't dislike really any of these episodes. I thought some of them maybe felt a little bit like throwaways away in subsection, but I felt like even the Avatar Day, the Swamp People one, like, there's still very interesting worlds that he travels to. Like, I still find them overall interesting to watch, and they're less than 30 minutes. They're like 25, maybe 23 minutes or something like that. So the show travels fast. Let me see what else we got. Yeah, I was not expecting them just to all of a sudden not say anything about him being the Avatar. Or one thing about him being the Avatar is that not everyone believes he's the Avatar. I like how in the world building that they're showing that there's people behind them. There's the guys like, my fucking cabbages, my cabbages, my cabbages. Like, always getting his cabbages destroyed. The run-on joke of that. Then they have other people that are kind of dressed like Aang in the background. Not all the time, but they've shown that other people do dress as the Avatar. So, just by seeing him, they don't automatically think it's him all the time. It could just be just a random person dressed as it. And then episode what is this? Episode 6 is, I think, where we start to. Sorry, I didn't finish episode 5. Episode 5, uh, Avatar Kyoshi. Oh, sorry. Episode 5, Uncle Iroh and Zuko move their own ways. Uncle Iroh and Zuko kind of go back and forth with their own relationship, and I find it absolutely fascinating. And about, I think it's like episode 12, I'm skipping a little bit, but they have a beautiful montage with Uncle Iroh. But there is a clash between Uncle Iroh, and Zuko through this entire first 2 seasons so far. That is kind of like a push and pull of does Zuko need to actually consume the Avatar, you know? So let's hop on over to episode 6, The Blind Bandit. While looking for an earthbender, teacher Aang and his friends discover a young blind girl with secrets of her own. Episode 6 is pretty much where they turn up the heat, in my opinion. The first few episodes of season 2 kind of feel like they're a lot more of the season 1 style. You know, go to this city, do a little chore, go to the city, help a couple people out, go to the city, tell them you're the Avatar. But once we get to episode 6, The Blind Bandit, it's 9.2 on IMDb with reason. I'm trying to tell you. It's WWE Raw with Avatar The Last Airbender elements. It is freaking phenomenal. Ding, ding, it is on. I absolutely think episode 6, it's it's Raw. It's WE with Earth Nation. Awesome visuals. The sound effects make it feel like people are getting crushed, slung across the stadiums, getting bucked up. I mean, it is crazy. I mean, the Blind Bandit made that dude rip his dick. I was like, oh my god. I was like, this is insane. And so, I love how the rocks are just the earth just bends to whatever they need. And so I had never really thought about how practical it would be to have earth bending powers, but my lord, you can just create your own world. You can literally create your own castle or like a little hut if you needed to. It's one of the coolest element bending parts of the series, just specifically all in this. A lot of it happens in this episode. So I love how the rocks will just open and close when the benders need them to at their will. How did her dad not know she was like badass and all this? I didn't really understand how she is, this badass, knocking all these dudes out of the ring, but yet she's, her parents are still like trying to overlook her too hard and kind of, not baby her, but look out for her a little bit too much, mostly because of her I guess she is because she's blind, and it's really seamless how this character ends up escaping from the Earth Nation of a place that she doesn't really feel like she's a part of, and she does in my opinion kind of seamlessly blend in with the rest of our people. I know that there's a little bit of turmoil immediately after they get her into the group. I think it's episodes 8. Sorry, it's episode 7 and 8 after Zuko alone. But yeah, I do think I'm looking at 8 and 9. I believe that's when they start to have a little bit of friction with what's her name? Toph, I believe. Toph. I said Toph. Yeah, Toph. And she is kind of like a girl that does her own thing. She's covered in dirt because it helps her feel, and she can tell when people are lying, and she has really cool abilities. And so, yeah, I knew immediately after her episode 6 that her father was like, oh yeah, she's free to travel. Absolutely not. I knew that was going to be lies. And so they kind of set it up as the Avatar kidnapped Toph in that episode. And so I was like, my lord, this is quite a hook for introducing someone into this world. I mean, she has a badass opening, she has badass powers, and she's overall just a very capable individual despite her being blind. Not saying that that would normally uh, make things a lot. What I'm trying to say is that generally makes things a lot more difficult, especially in the time that she's living in. So her having these abilities is almost, ultra to her advantage. But it also shows how it can go against her if she does not have earth around her as well. If she's surrounded by water, she's out of her element, so to speak. So episode 7 is Zuko alone. As Zuko tries to make it by an exile without his uncle, he remembers how his father became Fire Lord and what happened to his mother. This honestly feels a little bit more like a dropped plot line throughout season 2. This might be somewhat of a criticism of season 2 when it comes down to it, unless you want to just kind of say this is just a small subsection of this character's life and we're just kind of looking into it and peeping into it, and we're not trying to, we ultimately don't need to find out where his mother went. The thing is season 3 going to address where his mother is, or are we just going to drop that plot line? I'm kind of curious about that. So let me see what we got for episode 7. We have Fire Lord Azula. What is it? Azula? Hold on, give me a second. Azai. Fire Lord Azai is voiced by Mark Hamill. I don't know if I had mentioned that before. But let's kind of cover this real quick. Flashback episode of young Zuko seeing his father ask his grandfather to betray Uncle Iroh for leaving a siege because of the death of his son. This is some really it's like historical knowledge within the community of the Airbender. The Fire Nation. I said the Airbenders. It's the Fire Nation. Zuko is the one that witnesses all of this kind of treachery in a way, or he's hearing what's going on, which is obviously traumatizing. So I was surprised that they were having Uncle Iroh become, well, they wanted Azai to betray Uncle Iroh because of the death of his son. And so the death of his son is a little bit of a fuzzy space, kind of just understanding what's going on. We do have an episode a little bit later that kind of goes a little bit more in depth into how he's coping with it. Uncle Iroh is. But it's surprising that the Fire Nation was just like, yeah, we needed to betray Uncle Iroh because of this. He left his post, I guess. And I love the music within the fight in this episode. Big flashback of his mother possibly leaving him. There's this massive flashback with Zuko kind of remembering, that his mother left him at a very young age. And a little bit more behind the scenes on what happened there. So his mother tells him this: to remember who you are. This is interchanged and intercut with the editing of Zuko having the fight with, I believe it's an Earth Nation people, and they are trying to take some boy to, they're trying to get this boy to do something with the townspeople. I think they're trying to get him to fight with the townspeople against the Fire Nation, and Zuko's trying to protect him, saying he's too young. Don't go for the boy. And so there's this big fight, and what the main thing I remember from this episode is that the young boy is in the family is with Zuko the majority of the time because they're helping him, and at the very end, once they find out he's Fire Nation, even the boy is yelling at him, to leave. He's exiled essentially. So it just shows that Zuko never really had a place that he belonged in, even as a young person. He whoops, cast. Oh, I'll just play it right now.
Liar! I heard of you. You're not a prince. You're an outcast. His own father burned and disowned him.
Not a step closer.
It's yours. You should have it.
No, I hate you.
I mean, that is like that's tough for him to like really. I mean, he was trying to save the boy from doing any of that, from doing any fighting at all, and the family, the boy, they all they tell him to leave. Zuko doesn't have a place he really belongs in, and with his sister becoming more of a prominent character in this season, that's even more relevant. So episode 8, we'll try to speed this up a little bit more. Is the chase. Every time they land, Azula and the warriors find Aang, Katara, Sokka, Toph. Toph refuses to help set up camp, claiming she carries her own weight and no one else's. After a fight between Aang and Katara, Toph storms off angrily. Aang lays a decoy trail for Azula and Sokka. Katara, Appa, and Momo flee the other direction. Aang waits for Azula and is fighting her when Zuko and Iroh arrive. Soon, Katara and Sokka come to the fight, too. Just as all of... This is a long-ass fucking synopsis. Just as all of hope is lost, Toph arrives, and together the six attack Azula. Knowing she is beat, Azula shoots... Well, what does Azula shoot? Knowing she is beat, Azula shoots Iroh with lightning and disappears. All this pissed me off. I was like, no, don't go Iroh, no! Zuko leaves with Iroh and Aang. Katara, Sokka, and Toph leave as well. Toph and Katara apologize to each other and the journey continues. This is basically the integration of Toph into the episode. I was a little bit fidgety with this episode as well. It's basically it's bringing the ragtag team, although they're not really ragtag. They're it's bringing the team together, kind of putting some friction, and then showing that they have a common enemy as well. And there's like real shots at the Blind Bandit. Like there's like jokes at the Blind Bandit that I was not expecting that kind of were fucked up and funny at the same time. So I was like, whoa, damn, this is a little edgy, isn't it? And they have that fucking Mad Max ship following them the entire episode. That was fucking crazy. And it's filled with the lizards, I believe. Azula riding the lizards. Fucking nuts. Let's hop to episode 9. Episode 9 should be Bitter Work. And I'm not going to read the long one again. That was kind of ridiculous. Aang begins earthbending training with Toph, but grows frustrated when he encounters difficulty with earth, the natural opposite of air. Aang's inclination towards agility and evasion puts him at a disadvantage with earthbending, which requires a more direct, resolute form of combat. Elsewhere, Zuko struggles with a similar dilemma as Iroh tries to teach him lightning bending, an advanced form of firebending. Zuko's anger keeps him from having the cold precision lightning bending requires. Deciding on another approach, Iroh shares with Zuko his belief that wisdom should come from many sources. He describes the relative strengths of each of the four elements and the nations associated with them, and advises that understanding the other elements and other ways of life makes the Avatar so powerful, but it can also make Zuko more powerful. Iroh then teaches him the art of redirecting lightning, a firebending technique he created by studying waterbenders. When Sokka is endangered by a saber-toothed moose lion, Aang is able to save him by firmly standing his ground as an earthbender would. Zuko claims he's ready to try and redirect lightning, which Uncle staunchly refuses. Zuko resorts to standing on a mountaintop during a storm, screaming at the heavens to strike him like they have in the past. So, episode 9, still we're obviously with Zuko's struggles and him trying to have this inner struggle and learning how to the ways of the Force. The more I think about it, they should have had more of Zuko trying to deflect more of the lightning attacks that Azula had. I think they might have had a couple of those, but I didn't feel like there was a big one. It's like, this is exactly what Uncle taught me. It's like, damn it, I wanted something more like that. But it kind of feels more or less like a dropped thread. Maybe not exactly. But yeah, this is it's an interesting one. Another one with Aang trying to put in the work of trying to become an earthbender, and we still see some cool visuals in this. Let's hop to episodes 10, 11, 12. We're just kind of bunch these together. We got the library. We got the desert. We probably do have to mention in the library. Actually, let's talk about the library real quick. Chapter 10, The Library. Sokka decides the group needs some intelligence to defeat the Fire Nation. At an oasis, the group encounters a professor from Ba Sing University who tells them about Wa Sing Tong's library in the Si Wong Desert, said to contain a vast collection of knowledge. The group travels into the massive and foreboding desert and eventually locate the library nearly buried but intact inside. Toph refuses to descend with the others and stays outside with Appa. Inside, Wa Sing Tong, a large spirit owl, tells the group that the humans are no longer permitted in the library, as they only seek knowledge to gain an advantage on other humans, which is kind of like an overarching theme as well. The group convinces him otherwise and begins searching for the information. I know this owl knows they're lying and calls them out on their shit later. I wouldn't trust him anyway. Sokka discovers a crucial weakness to the Fire Nation that could end the war. An upcoming solar eclipse will erase the firebending for its duration. Wa Sing Tong catches them in their lie and refuses to allow them to leave with the knowledge. He begins sinking the library before chasing the group. Outside, Appa is kidnapped by a gang of sandbenders while Toph is busy preventing the library from sinking into the sand. Along with her bending being weakened by not being able to fully sense vibrations in the sand, the others escape the library, but Aang is devastated by the loss of Appa. I was like, no! Why? Why? Appa, everything but Appa. So yes, you can hear that in my voice. I was very upset about the loss of Appa. I was so surprised that in episode 10, essentially, Appa is gone from this season from 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 6 episodes, 16. We don't get to see a real good Appa till like around 5 or 6. 15 or 16. I was like, this is ridiculous. But anyways, I was visually impressed by that episode, but I was very upset to lose Appa then. Team Avatar in Chapter 11 are still trying to find Appa, and it is very it's very much Aang trying to cope with losing one of the main things that makes him an airbender. I mean, is it like Appa and Momo or like air? They're from like the air temples, I believe. Maybe I can't remember if that's 100%, but they're sacred creatures, and so you can see why he's trying to learn to control his anger in this. Episode 12, The Serpent's Pass. My gosh, that serpent was like... I mean, that thing was like another one. I was like, I don't even want to see that again. Episode 12, let me see. We brought back old character storylines like the Freedom Fighters and Sokka's friend as well. Let's talk about this one real quick. After leaving the desert, the group fortuitously meets up with Suki and attempts to lead a pregnant woman and her husband through the Serpent's Pass, a dangerous route to the outlands of Ba Sing Se. They are attacked by a Fire Nation ship and narrowly escape. Suki and Sokka attempt to rekindle the relationship, with Sokka acting overprotective to Suki after he lost Yu at the North Pole. Suki reveals she has feelings for Sokka as well. They almost kiss under the moon, though Sokka stops himself. Meanwhile, Zuko and Iroh, assuming new identities as Earth Kingdom refugees, are also on their way to start a new life in the Earth Kingdom capital, and encounter Jet and some of the freedom fighters with whom Zuko starts to bond. Aang and the group are attacked again, this time by the serpent that lends to its name, Serpent's Pass. He and Katara defeat the beast, and the group arrives on the outskirts of Ba Sing Se. However, Ying goes into labor, delivers her daughter. Aang is moved to tears by the sight and says that the couple has made him hopeful yet again. Ying decides to name her daughter Hope. Sokka and Suki share their first kiss, while Aang confesses to Katara how the happiness of Ying's family reminds him of how he feels about Appa and her. Aang departs with Momo to find Appa in Ba Sing Se, but is shocked to see a massive Fire Nation drill is approaching the wall of Ba Sing Se. This was actually part of a 2-part special. It was a 44-minute special. So yeah, I was really surprised to see all that. The second part of this episode was the drill, and it just kept on going. I was like, give me more Avatar. And I was like, holy fuck, that is a massive fucking drill. So essentially, Aang reunites with his friends, intent to stop the drill, though their offer to help is initially refused by the Earth Kingdom general at the outer wall, which this dude was ridiculous. Team Avatar begins to find a way down to take down the drill. I love how they all have their own different ways of, taking it out, how they all have to have some sort of different maneuver. And, whatever Sokka was doing, trying to chop all the things up in the interior just wasn't working. So they just had to go out and just whoosh, 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 and plug it up on the outside and, get all this craziness to go. It was another one. Meanwhile, Jet wishes to recruit Zuko for his freedom fighters, but Zuko bluntly refuses. Jet becomes suspicious of the two and deduces that Iroh heated his own cup of tea using firebending. Jet becomes intent on exposing Zuko and Iroh while Team Avatar make their way into Ba Sing Se. Now, this is where it kind of changes into the next segment of Season 2. There's many different plot lines going on. I mean, they got so many balls juggling up in the air. I was just like, oh my Lanta. It was a lot to handle when it came down to it. I was just like, this is very broad in scope for a cartoon of this magnitude. I was like, is this for kids at all? Like, it's clearly written for kids, but like on the scale, like you need to have like a really large knowledge of what's going on. I mean, it's very impressive. Aang and the rest of the group arrive in Ba Sing Se, chapter 14, determined to find Appa and inform the Earth King about the upcoming opportunity the solar eclipse will provide to strike back against the Fire Nation. However, they will soon discover that the protocols and bureaucracy of the royal court and astrology, I'm just messing, surrounding the Earth Kingdom block from making contact with them. They are assigned a liaison, an uncomfortable, cheerful woman named Jodie, who indirectly makes it clear to them that any mention of the war is forbidden within the walls of the city. This is only one of many disturbing rules that they discover they are enforced by the Dali, the cultural authority of Ba Sing Se. Katara comes up with a plan to see the Earth King by her and Toph sneaking their way into a party at the royal place, with Aang and Sokka sneak in as servers. The quartet is eventually found out and greeted by Long Feng, the head of the Dali. Long Feng reveals that the Earth King has no true political power, only serving as a figurehead in meaningless tasks, while Long Feng and the Dali control every other aspect of their city. They see it as a way to ensure Ba Sing Se remains last total utopia on Earth, as the kids threaten to expose them. Long Feng makes an indirect threat regarding their goal of finding Appa. Not fucking Appa! If they continue to sneak out, noting that they will be watched 24/7 by Dali agents. Elsewhere, Jet repeatedly tries and fails to gather evidence that Zuko and Iroh are firebenders. This is kind of a funny montage, to be honest. And his allies Smellerbee and Longshot begin to believe that he is becoming dangerously obsessed. Jet's final attempt confronting the pair in a tea shop where they work, followed by a sword fight with Zuko, ends with Jet's arrest and subsequently brainwashed by Dali into believing that there is no war inside Ba Sing Se's walls. And so this episode was creepy as fuck. This was the one where it was like you got this kind of like, it feels like a coup d'etat, kind of like about to come out of there and, you know, take over the Earth Nation. Not exactly, but it's like the stirring and the slow cook pot of what's going to happen later in the season. I was very impressed by the depth this episode went, mostly specifically with the government seeking, like, people getting brainwashed type shit. I was like, whoa. So, Iroh's tale was dedicated to him in this episode, chapter 15, the next episode. It is like a short style montage storytelling of these different lives of the characters in Avatar. It's the tales of Ba Sing Se. Beautiful episode, and I couldn't say better things about it. It's just providing like a glimpse into the personalities and into their private lives. Katara and Toph have a girls' day out in the inner city, and by the end of the montage, they have a nice day, and they're both using their abilities and elements in specific ways that benefit each other. You know, they're in the sweat lodge, and so they throw a little bit of water, throw another hot rock. Iroh provides small gestures of kindness to various people in the outer city before venturing out of the city to find a place to mark the birthday of his son. Lu Ten, who was killed in the siege of Ba Sing Se so many previous years, kneeling before a portrait of his son, Iroh tearfully sings Leaves from the Vine, a folk song about a young soldier returning home. Uncle Iroh's story essentially brought me to tears with the cinematography, the lessons, overall just good, heart-filled goodness of this character. And from what I'm reading right here is Uncle Iroh's tale was dedicated to the voice actor Meiko Iswamatsu, I believe. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, who had just died 7 days after chapters 10 and 11 initially aired. So, and I also heard that another actor came in after him to help voice the character as well. I'll cover who it is in later season. I think it might be season 3 if he's in season 3. I know he came in at the end of in the middle of season 2 as well to help with some of the voice acting stuff too. But it was absolutely beautiful. I had no idea that the actor Mako, I believe, who died in 2006, also voiced Master Splinter in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the movie 2007, and Samurai Jack's Aku, among many other roles he had. It was a beautiful voice actor, and I loved the heart that he really put into Uncle Iroh's character. Continuing on with this, Aang helps a zookeeper build a new zoo outside the wall. Sokka accidentally ends up in a girls-only poetry club. That was kind of funny. Zuko goes out on a date, resisting at first, but winds up enjoying himself. Momo looks through Ba Sing Se for Appa, only to find one of his footprints, which I don't think we absolutely know whose footprint that is until after the end of chapter 16. And chapter 16 is Appa. This was an absolute heartbreaking ass episode to watch. I was so excited to see Appa back, but the entire freaking time this episode is on, Appa is being captured, tortured, beaten, starved, and lied to, among other things. It is very difficult to watch, especially. I mean, I personally have had my fair share of animal loss, and it really hurt to see an animal in pain like this. And so I know it's an animation, but I was still like, oh my God, please just let him go, just let the cat lie. Let me just talk about it real quick. After being abducted in the desert, Appa is traded to the Fire Nation circus, where the trainer whips, humiliates, and generally mistreats him. He eventually escapes with the help of a small boy. He later unwillingly fights Porcupine. He wins but is badly wounded. By fortune, Suki and Kaishu warriors come across Appa to help him recover from his injuries, but the warriors are attacked by Azula and her team. Appa is forced to flee at Suki's urging, lest he be hurt in the ensuing battle between Azula's forces and the Kyoshi warriors. Dispirited, confused, longing for Aang, Appa returns to his childhood home at the Eastern Air Temple, where he discovers a mysterious guru, Patik, has taken residence in the ruins. The guru gains his trust and imparts to him Aang's location at Ba Sing Se, with a message for Aang attached to his horn. Appa arrives at Ba Sing Se, but just short of reuniting with Aang, he is ambushed and captured by Long Fang. Damn it! Leaving the footprint that Momo found. It says that this episode also won a Humane Society Award for portraying of its mistreatment of animals. Wow, I had no idea that. I mean, I was I was kind of traumatized watching this a little bit. Like, I was like, this is really fucking tough to watch. I mean, it was one of our favorite characters, and I love Appa, and seeing that big fuzzy guy do his thing, fly. But my lord, it was so hard watching him get, just whipped, caught on fire, and starved. I was like, this is just really fucking bad. I was like getting actually pissed off. And so these next couple episodes, we'll kind of wrap them all into one. This is kind of where the big war is coming down. And Zuko and Iroh, I'll be honest, they're kind of put on the side. It's all about Azula kind of getting the upper hand on the Earth Nation, and also Long Fang being kind of screwed over by Azula, but everyone's trying to screw somebody over, and it eventually causes kind of an all-out, breakout of Azula overthrowing the Earth Nation. And so this is just absolutely insane. Long Fang ends up having to go to jail, and then we have the Earth King that is like diddly squat. I mean, he doesn't he even if he had a backbone, even if he had a backbone, even if he had a spine, I don't think that anything would have changed. In episode 19, I will say that Aang he decides that he needs, this is the best time he has to do it. Let me see. Episode 19. Aang receives guidance from the guru at the Eastern Air Temple. Sokka is reunited with his long-lost father. Princess Azula has something diabolical in store for her enemies. Uncle Iroh and Zuko run their own tea shop, which I could watch an entire show of. I could watch an Uncle Iroh Zuko tea shop HG Netflix TV show and be perfectly fine with it. The episode 19 was very interesting, with him trying to reunite, understand and control the Avatar state. I also liked the parts with Sokka and his father, who we really have not gotten too much interaction with. Definitely enjoying those interactions a lot more at this point. Mostly because 2 seasons and he's only been talked about, and I think they only ran into his uncle 1 or 2 episodes, maybe 1 episode. But yeah, so that's essentially the guru, and at the end of this episode, he runs off to go save Katara, who needs his help. So let's see. All right, episode 20. We're just gonna read the entire thing, the entire plot for episode 20. Chapter 20, The Crossroads of Destiny. Aang and Sokka reunite with Toph and set out to find Katara, though their fears are initially claimed by the king, still believing Azula's impersonation. Azula has been placed in charge of the Dali by Long Fang, while the coup d'etat takes place. And she begins to rule with an iron fist. Iroh and Zuko arrive at the palace, but are greeted by Azula and her agents. Iroh is able to evade capture, but Zuko decides to stand and fight Azula. Though he's quickly overmatched by the Dali and thrown in prison with Katara, Iroh finds Toph and asks their help in rescuing Zuko, as well as Katara. Katara berates Zuko for trying to capture Aang and brings up the loss of their mother as a result of the war, causing Zuko to respond, "That's something we have in common," calming Katara's anger. Sokka and Toph rush to the palace to warn the king of the coup d'etat, but they arrive as it is beginning, with the council of 5 generals being placed under house arrest by the Dali. Sokka and Toph make it to the throne room, only to be defeated by Azula, Ma, and Ty Lee, as they and the king are led away, as well as that bear. Long Feng arrives. What's his name? Bosco? I don't remember. Long Feng arrives intent on double-crossing Azula, though the Dali agents no longer answer to him, which that was not even, like, planned well. Did you not see that at all, man? Long Feng? Jeez. Azula sits on the throne after perfectly guessing Long Feng's long, arduous climb to power, at which point he acknowledges he's been beaten at his own game. Back in the crystal catacombs underneath the palace, Katara contemplates using water from the North Pole Spirit Oasis given to her by Pakku to heal Zuko's scar, but Aang and Iroh arrive at the moment to rescue them. Azula arrives a short time later and traps Iroh, offering Zuko his honor if he joins her. Aang and Katara try to escape the catacombs, but are attacked by Azula and later Zuko, having made up his mind. Aang eventually has to let go of his attraction to Katara to conjure the Avatar state that Pathik instructed him, but as he enters it, he is shot by Azula's lightning, killing him. Iroh steps in to help Katara escape with Aang, and is subsequently captured. Katara uses the spirit water on Aang's wound, seemingly bringing him back to life. Team Avatar and Earth King Kai fly over the wall in defeat as the Earth Kingdom has finally fallen. What a fucking season. That was fucking insane. I gotta say that. That's literally one of the craziest fucking things I've ever watched. Let me just run this by the notes real quick. Bosco the bear, yep, check. Talked about him last episode with Mako as Uncle, check. Discussed that. Zuko, fuck you, check. Yeah, I was in shock that lightning went through him when he was going full on Avatar state. And the fact is, he has this massive scar behind him on his back. I wonder if they're going to continue that, if it heals up, or what's going to happen. But I'm very anxious and excited and just like overall like what's gonna happen. I'm like, oh my goodness, all my favorite characters. Oh my goodness, oh my one more season. Oh my gosh. But I was like, my lord, this is intense. I will say my only complaints about the season. Now, don't kill me for this. Don't shoot me with lightning for this. Aang probably came back a little too quickly. I think I needed a little bit more time for them to be a little bit more sad about Aang being gone for the 30 seconds he was gone. It felt like it was too quick that he was brought back. There's no like repercussions, I guess. It's like, is that the last bits of life water that she has? Like I'm confused at how many times he can be brought back at this point. So that's one thing I just want to. Was that the one was that his mushroom that brought him back, just in case, his Mario mushroom that brought him back and one up. Um, so yeah, I love this season. The visuals, the fighting, the cinematography, strong supporting characters. Whether it came to new characters that felt like they had been in the seasons and series for the entire time, such as Toph, or favorites such as Uncle Iroh, or side characters that end up kind of becoming more interesting characters that we had no idea we were going to like, were possibly like the Freedom Fighters. I was very impressed with this season. I think my complaints are so minimal that I would go back and rewatch this one just for the heck of it. Music is amazing, and each character has like its own melody. I think it's like a Shakespeare kind of thing. But I really enjoy this fucking show. It is just so much fun to watch, and it's fun to live, to vicariously live in, I guess, because I don't technically live in the airbending world, but the podcast bending world. But yeah, let me know what y'all thought about the season, the series, the review, Avatar as a whole. I had heard that Netflix was trying to revive this, and the creators that were originally attached to the original one, Brian, I think, what were their names? Michael and Brian originally were attached to this series with the Netflix revival, but to my knowledge, they are not going to be attached to this next one. They said that they could not find common ground, apparently. I don't know. Which is weird, because Netflix seems to be very consumer and very creator heavy, focused. I feel like they would give whatever the last Airbender guys needed to give one of the best products they possibly could. I don't know. This has got to be one of the highest watched things on Netflix, to my knowledge, in the last few months. I can't remember too many people talking about other things at this point. But yeah, let me know what you thought about the review. Let me know what you thought about the podcast, how it can improve the review, how it can improve the Avatar Season 2 review. Thank you for listening, watching. Rate, share, subscribe, LuckyDog Podcast. We could not do this without you. And until next time, Appa, yip yip.